Hi, everybody. Steve Green here. We're going to start officially in about 20 seconds. I like to be prompt. This is a 10 a.m. Eastern Time launch, and it is right at 10 a.m. You hear that little ding there? So let's jump in. Actually, I want to make a quick adjustment here. Apologize. Got the wrong slide. So give me a second here and we'll get it right. There we go. Okay. Measure twice, cut once, right? Anyway, good morning. It is 10 a.m. in Philadelphia and East Coast. And I say that because I am aware of people who are telling me they're tuning in from about 4 different time zones. In fact, a couple in Europe. So welcome. It's afternoon for you there, my friends in the West Coast. I know it's early. I appreciate you coming on. But let's jump right in. So this is entitled Structure in the Chaos 2.2. This is the 11th or 12th presentation of this type. Really quickly, I am in the education field. And when this whole coronavirus circumstance hit, schools were put on hold, and we were forced to go into a home study environment. I was getting very, very common questions from concerned parents and students, and I wanted to address them. So just some quick caveats. This is a live presentation. It's intended for parents and children when home studying due to social distancing. This is going to be recorded, probably be re-released. If you want to watch a recording of it, any opinions, information are nothing official. They're not sanctioned by a school or an authority. They're basically my opinions, but they're based on observations of things I have seen, spoken to people about, and done all sorts of things with. So all this said, let's jump right in. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, depending on where you are watching live, or you can email them to me. I'll try to monitor that, and I'll answer them as they come up. Anyway, here we go. What I want to do here is address common questions I've gotten over the last couple weeks since all started. Now, this is new. If you've seen this presentation before, this is a new version of it, hence 2.2. Address common concerns, and that's probably going to be the newest thing here. Continue to make some suggestions for immediate implementation for students and parents, and provide you with ongoing channels of support. I'm Steve Green. I'm a longtime educator, many years tutoring privately and in the classroom. I've written a book. People ask me to show it. It's here. It exists. Called Maximum Education. A lot of the things I'm going to talk about are based on principles in the book. It's also the principles in the podcast and in my success community. So let's go right in. It's been a crazy period of time. It isn't just education. It's everything. It's having to stay home. It's having to wear masks, having to wash your hands. It's having to stay 1.84 meters or 6 feet from everybody else. It's routine things like going to buy lunch have become very, very complicated. So in the education space, it's even, I think, more complex because you've got students at all different levels. You've got multiple things going on between the students, the teachers, and the delivery of information. Nobody was really sure when this was going to play itself out. Officially, at least in Pennsylvania, all the schools are closed through the end of the year. And it's been kind of a mess. And I think it's starting to clarify a little bit. And I wanted to get into some of the things here. So here's some questions I've addressed copiously on past webinars. Virtual learning, what are the best practices? How to create an effective learning environment at home? What are the best uses of resources, and how do you get short and long-term support? And let me just talk about these very briefly because I really want to get into the next slide, which is the concerns. Virtual learning best practices. I think here's your simple solution, okay, is you need to do what is going to be most effective in your home so your students can learn. This involves a physical piece. You have to have a good place this is going to happen. You have to have the technology in place. You have to have timing. You have to have accountability. And I would refer you to prior versions of this presentation, although we'll get back to this probably in another one for a lot more detail on that. But the point is, just like any other time, you're not going to get effective learning at home or anywhere else for that matter if you don't have a solid way to get it done. You don't want to study in a noisy, distracting place. You can't have, you know, random time. Hey, I'll do my homework later, later, later. No, you need to set standards. As a parent, I understand this is challenging, especially if you're someone who's at home trying to do your work, trying to do your job, trying to keep your business going, and managing a third grader, fifth grader, and 10th grader. It's not easy. I understand it. But it starts with having a solid structure where everything's happening, when it's happening, and how it is happening. So, how to create an effective learning environment at home? That's my advice on that. Best use of resources right now, especially if you have school based things, I would focus on them. I have detailed many ways you can use the internet and other ways to get information. And long term, short term support, again, I would lean on the schools and the teachers for that. I can also provide a lot of that, and I will detail that shortly. So let's get into some concerns I've had from parents. Okay. Number one, they have had issues accessing content. And I'm putting Schoology here. Schoology is a service that some schools use among many that would provide, this is what they're doing in math, this is what's going on in English. The system was down for a few days. I believe it has been corrected and updated. So I'm going to just kind of leave that to say, look, it's getting a lot of hits right now from the students, from the parents. Need a little time to let that settle in. Hopefully that's going to be stronger now. This is a common concern. And to preface, I'm not throwing any instructors or teachers under the bus, except that it's just been a common concern. Are the students not getting instruction? Yes, they're getting worksheets they need to do. Yes, they're getting things they have to watch. Yes, they're getting videos. Yes, they're getting assignments, but they aren't really getting instruction. They aren't really getting teachers saying, here's how you do this. Watch an example. In a lot of cases, this is not, all or nothing. My advice here is either seek out someone who can teach you, and in some cases that might be someone like myself if the topic is correct. And I think you need to give this a little bit of time. I think this is something people are feeling out. When I say people, I mean instructors, teachers. Not everybody is extremely versed in the technical piece of it. But if you're having any sort of issue getting instruction, because the most common complaint I'm getting from parents is number 3, my children can't teach themselves and I can't teach them. Exclamation point. Yes, it's challenging. I would tell you, instead of getting frustrated and banging your head against the wall, reach out and try to find professional help. I can offer that. I'm going to detail an unlimited tutoring option later in this presentation. Some parents saying they have organizational challenges or time management challenges, which is exactly what I talked about a few minutes ago. You need to get your house in order that way. Have your children do their homework in a place that is conducive to do the homework. Set up the time from 10 a.m. to noon. You're in school. Take a break for lunch, go outside, whatever. From 1 to 3, you're in school. Let's get all that work done. And another common question is, how do they get help? And I've addressed that at least tangentially here. But I think between online resources, sort of passive resources where you can do your own research, and live help, there is plenty of help out there if you want to get it. So quick summary on this slide is, if you're having issues getting content or instruction, either you can do some research on your own, try to find maybe videos from all these providers out there, or seek out somebody who is used to doing this, somebody who has experience doing it. And again, I'm not making this a commercial for myself, but these are things I've been doing for many years. These are the concerns I'm getting from students. Number one is the same thing because they're the ones trying to log on. So I'll leave that there. Number 2 is a lack of instruction, only content. I've addressed that a little bit. I'm going to say basically the same thing again. Give it a little bit of time. I think that will improve. However, if you need help learning it, you need somebody to teach it to you, to give you, hey, here's how A goes to B to C to D. Please reach out. I will do what I can to help you, because I know number 3, you can't teach yourself. The rest of them I think are more social, because let's be fair. Kids get a lot of their socialization at school. Their friends are there, their activities are there, their sports are there, their clubs, their plays, extracurriculars, and they're just bored. They're tired of sitting at home now 4 or 5 weeks without their friends. The virtual connections are what they are, and they just want to know, when's this going to end? When can I get help? And I sympathize with that. But I think the key right now is to focus in on what you need to do, get it done, stay current, and move forward. I have a quick question here. That's why I'm looking over. Somebody is asking, how do we get a hold of me? I'm going to flash my email up towards the end of this. You can also just message me directly on social media, wherever you are able to view this. But let's stay with this for a second. So there's a chance for questions. Oh, actually, here it is right here. So today's presentation is shorter because what I want to convey is very simple. Is if the biggest complaints, if we go back here to these slides, are really people, even the ones who feel like they've got a setup, and even the ones who feel like they've got their structure organized, are not really feeling like they're able to learn very well, at least within the construct of the online education. And I understand that. So my solutions are reach out, try to get help from somebody who's used to doing it. And that's one of the things I want to try to offer here. So you can email me, sgreen@makethegrade.net. Most of my social media is at Make the Grade, except my personal Facebook page. I'm doing this live presentation Tuesdays at 10 a.m., Thursdays noon, both Eastern time. I have set up, and this is to answer these concerns. I'm going to have a daily office hours where people can come on and ask questions. You can hit me up through social media. Yeah, you're welcome. Somebody's thanking me. Thank you. Thank you for your asking. You can hit me up through social media. There are also some direct and local support groups. I know, at least where I live, there are a couple of Facebook groups where people are sharing resources. I do have an online community, and I have the podcast. And the goal of both of them is very simple. And I've shared that mission statement, but it's very simple, is to provide parents and students with actions they can take immediately to help to maximize their education. It's all kinds of time management tips, information management tips, just ways to be more efficient, more productive. And as I said, I rolled out yesterday, I have an unlimited tutoring option. This includes instruction. This includes help. This includes test preparation, quiz preparation, SAT prep, ACT prep, whatever you need. I'm trying to make that available to people. It is unlimited for the people who decide to do it. I can't have thousands of people doing it as much as I'd like to help. So there's a cap on the number of people that I can offer that to and still maintain the level and quality of service that I'd like to. So let me check if there's any questions. Somebody's asking, how does the unlimited tutoring work? Well, this is how it works. Good question. Thank you. It's going to have two components to it, at least. One is going to be a one-on-one component, and one's going to be a small group component. Basically, you would log into an online platform. I typically use Zoom. Some people like to use FaceTime. I can still use Skype, a couple other facilities. And we would, between an audio, a video, whiteboard, screen sharing, annotations, basically work through it. Anybody who's been a student of mine, especially in the last month, but for the last 5 or 6 years, who's done online work knows exactly what I'm talking about. So you would have an opportunity as an online tutoring student to access this on a daily basis. So you can say, hey, today we were supposed to learn how to add and subtract negative numbers in math. Somebody I worked with this morning. Okay, well, here's what we do. We're going to pull up a screenshot of your book. I'm going to show you some techniques to do it, make sure you understand them, work on some practice problems, move forward. Next day, either you come back, we'll review the same thing, or you can move on to something new. Yesterday, I worked on somebody in chemistry who's working on stoichiometry. Yeah, that's a big word for 10:15 in the morning. But the point was, it is there. The reason I'm doing this is to make sure if people need help, at least within the bandwidth that I can provide, that the help is there to be had. So if you're curious about either of these things, please let me know. I'm going to keep this right on time today. My goal is to make these about 20 minutes or less. I'm going to keep this up here one more second and just check if there are any other questions. One other question is, We have 3 children and only 1 computer. What do you suggest we do? Well, good question. Because assuming that your instruction is computer based, this is a time issue, right? You're going to have to schedule it. Child 1 gets the computer from 9 to 10 o'clock, whatever. Child 2 from 11 to 12, 3 from 11 to noon. You're going to have to manage that as a parent. You could let the children try to do that themselves, but I'm not sure that always ends well. So I would take that on as a parent. I would block it out. Maybe you have the same time every day. Maybe you have different times every day. It's going to vary to some degree on the amount of work or the complexity of the work. Clearly, high school 10th, 11th, 12th grader is going to have more work than a 3rd or 4th grader. But that's the thing. The other thing is people have sort of mixed technology. They have a Chromebook, they have a tablet, they have a phone, and they're trying to access it. And some of these things, it's just too small on a phone or even on a Chromebook. A lot of these Chromebooks that were issued don't have very big screens. So I've had people ask me about screencasting where they take the Chromebook or their phone and actually broadcast it to a television. And that's, I know how to do it, and I can probably counsel you on that. I would refer people probably to people a little more specialized in that. My side of it is the teaching, less the tech, but it can be done. You got to be a little bit creative. You got to be resourceful in these times. Let me check one more time for questions. I got a couple comments. Thank you. Yes, listen, the comment was basically thank you for doing this. My answer is very simple. I'm doing this because I genuinely care and I want people to get the resources that they need. I'm not here to replace your school. I'm not here to replace your teacher. I'm here to help you to get the information you need to fill in gaps if you have them, or maybe in some cases, correct things that you're not understanding. That's moving on the academic side. If you're still prepping for things like the SAT or ACT, and they should come back to life, so to speak, in June, certainly in the summer, same idea. So I am going to wrap this up for today. I appreciate everybody who came on, took some time. Any feedback, questions, comments, concern, whatever, please communicate with me. Check out, I'm going to do one last plug. Check out the podcast this week because it's all about case studies of students I've been working with last few weeks and the success stories they've had even during these circumstances. All right. Thank you very much. And I am Steve Green from Make the Grade Tutoring. I'm just going to flash back to that really quickly, and I am going to wrap this up for today. Thank you very much. I hope to hear from everybody, and I'll see you Thursday at noon.